Hey everyone, Mr. MCA here. Welcome to another GT7 racing video where we get to deal with the best daily race ever, Rutex. And this is one of those races where you are provided pre-tuned cars, so you get to pick 12 cars this time, but pretty much there's going to be one car that's going to top them all, which is the Porsche 911 Turbo. This car has 1061 horsepower. But anyways, let's go ahead and get ready to start the race. So this was the very first race when the daily race appeared. So I think this was around 11:40 p.m. my time. But anyways, the lights go off and here we go. And right away, we're going to see that the Porsche has a big advantage over most of the cars, where this car has so much power. It's able to easily accelerate past the Ferrari and the Nissan. And with the substream set to custom, the substream strength is going to be pretty strong, and there is quite a bit of range where the substream will be active. So luckily I'm able to quickly start to catch up to the main pack of cars, starting to catch up to the Nissan and the Bugatti. And this is the one thing about the substream where it's really strong, so if you're out of the substream you will lose quite a bit of speed, and then Nissan was able to keep 9th place. So you're gonna go ahead and tuck into the Nissan substream, and gonna just try and see if I can cooperate with him a bit. Try to do a little bit of bump drafting so we can go a little bit faster, because teamwork makes the dream work. And right away we're already starting to slowly catch back up to the main group of cars. Already a bit of shenanigans going on, but nothing too crazy just yet. Luckily able to zip past the Nissan and the Bugatti and starting to bump draft the Demon. So this is mainly where you just want to try to survive, try to work with other cars so you can stay the main group of cars, because if you start to really fight it out and do really stupid things, then you're just gonna lose a substream and your race is going to be over, as I just barely tapped the wall on the left. I don't know how I managed to survive that, but that was a bit too close of a call. But luckily I'm able to fight another turn. I just got to regain my speed so I could try to catch back up to the main group of cars, and luckily I am able to start to catch back up to them, taking a bit towards the right side of the track, so I hopefully don't get into any shenanigans, which the shenanigans comes to me, at least for just a moment. But luckily nothing too bad came out of that, and the Brazilian actually getting a 3-second penalty, and it might have been from his collision with me. I know there are some collisions where if it's really hard enough, the game will get mad and you will get handed a penalty, so it could have been from our little contact early in the race. But anyways, fast forwarding through this as we are getting ready to position ourselves for the final turn, and gonna try and see if I can catch up a little bit to the R35, as they are a little bit ahead of me. But this is where I make the mistake of bringing myself out of position. So basically for a moment I had no substream, lost a bit of speed, and unfortunately Windfire gets pitted on the final turn, and here I am trying to get myself back into the substream, but unfortunately I ended up screwing myself over by bringing myself out of position and ended up losing a spot right there. Gonna see if I can try to slingshot past some of these cars to gain a couple of spots, and it looks like it's starting to work, starting to catch up to everyone, but unfortunately it was a little too late. And for this race I'm gonna go ahead and walk away with 5th place, so going up 7 spots. But we're gonna go ahead and move on over to race number 2, as these races are pretty quick. Unfortunately you do have to wait about 12 to 15 minutes for a new time slot, which is pretty annoying. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can try to start to bump draft this Challenger Demon, as one of my friends is actually driving this car right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and bump it a little bit so we can go a little bit faster. And the Chiron unfortunately getting left out to dry, as we're gonna go ahead and easily pass him as we're going much faster, get a pretty big bump draft from the car behind me. And here I am just going to try and see if we can slowly start to catch up to the lead pack of cars with a bit of teamwork, because teamwork makes the meme work. And luckily it is slowly starting to work, as we are starting to inch closer and closer to the first two cars as they were bump drafting by themselves. But now comes the scary part where whenever we go through these bank turns and you try to bump draft, the car kind of wants to step out a little bit. And sometimes it steps out a little bit, sometimes it steps out a lot. It kind of depends on how hard you hit the car and at what angle. So I'm just going to try to be extremely gentle here, but unfortunately it's not really working out. So going to go ahead and lose a bit of speed. The Nissan R34 not living up to his name because he's in a Porsche. Going to go ahead and give him a bump, and yeah, that's the issue right there, where if you bump someone on those bank turns, it could cause him to lose control, and unfortunately with Nissan, he ended up falling down to 4th place. But gonna go ahead and fast forward through this a little bit more as we are bump drafting each other, and we get more cars that end up joining the party. So now it's a pretty big group of cars trying to fight for first place, although you probably don't want to be in first place at this point in time. You want to wait until the very last moment before you try to claim first place. And here we go, getting ready to enter the bank turn. So it's going to be a little scary, as even a slightly hard bump could potentially lead to disaster. And just squeezing myself towards the left side of the track, so it's going to be a bit tight over here. But unfortunately the cars to my right end up bumping each other, which end up bumping into me. I hit the wall and end up losing speed, and unfortunately that's pretty much going to be race over. I might be crawling back just a little bit towards the lead pack of cars, but it's way too late. Unfortunately going to finish P6, and my quest goes on in this lottery of a race to try to win this race. But anyways, moving on towards the next race, where things were a lot more peaceful, where we're having two lovely trains of cars just pushing each other around, or bump drafting each other around, should I say. Eventually we turn into one big group where there's about 7 of us trying to stay in the slipstream and hopefully claim first place. But well, the thing about this race was that it was a little too peaceful, as not much happened. I was able to reel it back in just a little bit, but again, it's just too little too late. And if the other car's in the slipstream and you're not, you just lose speed and you cannot make that pass happen. So in this race, ended up finishing P5. It was a pretty peaceful race. Now let's go ahead and see what happens in this race, where we're approaching the final turn. Grove Street is hanging out right in front of me, and I want to go ahead and take the high line, and I'm going to see if I can try to pull myself in a little bit closer towards the lead group of cars, and getting a bit closer, getting a bit of speed. But unfortunately going to go ahead and bump into Textbook, so I lose my speed, and to rub salt on the wound, I want to get handed a 2-second penalty. Which is a huge shame, because I feel like I could have probably finished closer to the podium, but gotta serve that 2-second penalty, and unfortunately gonna end up finishing P11. So yeah, things definitely did not go the way I wanted it to. But moving on over towards the next race, gonna go ahead and try to see if I can make my way back up closer to the lead pack, and gonna go ahead and start to reel myself back in. And by the way, have you seen my Oshi Kira Kilovolt? She's a really fast giraffe VTuber who plays racing games. But anyways, going back to the race, where I definitely did not murder that poor challenger demon, gonna start to make my way to the very front of the pack, gonna give the Brazilian a bit of a bump, and gonna go ahead and take advantage of the slipstream, as we are starting to play a bit of bump cars. Things are getting a little dicey over here, but still hanging on, still doing all right. And gonna go ahead and get a nice little bump, and now it's gonna be a battle for P1 at the moment with the other Porsche and the Chiron. And luckily I'm getting bumped quite a bit. I just need one more big bump, and gonna go ahead and no, not yet, getting closer to securing first place. Almost there, just need one more bump, maybe just another more bump, and there we go. So gonna go ahead and shoot my way into first place, and this is where I'm gonna realize that being in first place at this point in the race is probably a really bad choice, because while you're in first place, you're punching the air and everyone can just slipstream past you. So now you're not in first place anymore, now you're down to 4th, to 5th to 6th, losing some spots. Okay, getting a spot because someone just got murdered. And well, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, being in first place pretty early on ended up turning into 9th place. So that strategy did not work out. And yeah, finished in 9th place. We got to go to the next race where we're going to go ahead and meet a very interesting individual where this person woke up and chose violence, as he's going to go ahead and start to bash anyone who comes remotely close to him, bashing that Porsche out of the way, bashing another Porsche, and unfortunately I end up going to the back of him. Almost thought I could go into, and yep, he's going to keep bashing into other people.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting.
And unfortunately, he's going to go ahead and bash into another car instead of, you know, working with other cars to try to catch it to the main group of cars. But unfortunately, because of this interesting person, we're going to go ahead and finish towards the bottom half of the grid, where we could have been fighting for the win if he decided to do this thing called teamwork. But now we're going to go ahead and move on towards the final race of the video. And this one I'm going to let it play out just a little bit more compared to the other videos. I'm going to go ahead and accelerate my way through, and the Porsche in 10th place and higher, just going to go ahead and zoom past the Nissan, as it looks like he's just standing still. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this just a little bit, as the exception is going to help me reel in the rest of the group. And there is a bit of fighting going on, so luckily that does help me catch up just a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and give 10th place a nice little bump draft. And okay, it looks like not many people want to work together at the time. And it's going to go ahead and try to make my way past all of this group right here and squeeze my way into 5th place. So I think I'm in a good spot for now. I just need to make sure that I don't lose any more spots, or don't get swallowed up, or just don't get murdered on this track. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this. Now here comes the turn, the bank turn, where it gets a little sketchy. You got to be really careful when you're bump drafting someone, as even just a little too strong of a bump or a little wrong angle could really mess things up. The Argentinian going to go ahead and make his way through. I'm just hanging out towards the left because I don't want to end up in a collision with anyone, so I don't mind losing a couple of spots for now, actually. And yeah, the Argentinian having a bit of a moment right there, and just going to try to catch up to the rest of the pack, as now I got to work with the Argentinian to catch up with everyone. And luckily they're not too far up ahead, and the slipstream is really strong, so we just got to wait just a little bit before we're back with the main group of cars. So right now it's looking like it's a 12 car battle for first place, so anything can happen in this race. And yeah, I mean, this race is basically a lottery race. You're either lucky or unlucky. But anyways, gonna try to squeeze past 9th place. Am I gonna get 8th place? And unfortunately, because of the really strong slipstream, it's gonna be a bit of a tall order. Looks like it's not gonna happen for now, so I'm gonna try to tuck back into the slipstream train so I don't get shuffled down towards the back of the pack. And luckily it's a bit peaceful for now, people bumping each other around, shuffling around a little bit, and able to make my way up into 8th place. And here comes the final turn, where things can get a little scary depending on how aggressive everyone is. Gonna try to stay behind 7th place so I can take advantage of the slipstream and try to slingshot my way towards the front of the pack. And just gotta hope that I have enough speed to make it last towards the end of the race and just pass everyone at the very last moment. But everyone's bunching up, and then all hell breaks loose as two people start to collide with each other. They spin out, and then a whole bunch of collisions happen behind me. Somehow end up in first place and end up taking the win. I don't know what happened. It all just happened so quickly. But you know, we'll go ahead and take a look at exactly what happened, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to describe what happened. But yeah, luckily ended up finishing with a big win. But here we go. So I'm gonna take a look at the replay, and this person kind of had the best seats in the house, where they get to see both collisions happen right in front of them. So we're taking a look at this car right here. So this was actually the car that I bumped right before everything went down. And yeah, so one car gets pitted, actually a couple cars end up getting pitted, and then everyone just gets annihilated, which I don't even, there's like so much going on. So we have the Argentinian. He's going to swing over to the left, which ends up bouncing him into the right. He hits the car on the right that's just off screen, and then they all just go into each other and spin out. Like, it's really difficult to tell as everything just happens so quickly. I was looking at that replay for a while and I'm just like, what? Like, how did this happen? But anyways, that is it for me. If you like this video, you can press the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But this is Mr. C8, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.